الذكرى 46 لنصر أكتوبر المجيد، والتي تحمل في طياتها أمورا عدة. هذه الأمور ربما تحتاج الآن إلى الاطلاع عليها أكثر من أي وقت مضى. في هذه الفترة وهذه المرحلة تحديدا يحتاج الجميع لأن يستلهم من روح أكتوبر ومن نصر أكتوبر وقوة وقدرة الشعب المصري على الصمود في وجه العدو الإسرائيلي، وأيضا في وجه التحديات والعقبات التي واجهته آنذاك منذ عام 67.
We are bringing you interpretation of the cultural symposium shortly to be addressed by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The armed forces, the Egyptian armed forces, have always been in the habit of holding such cultural symposiums and get its people, its troops, enlightened on the unfolding developments in the world as well as in the region. This time's cultural symposium marks the 46th anniversary of the October the 6th victory. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are awaiting the arrival of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the convention at Manara, at Manara Convention Center. Now his cavalcade, the presidential motorcade, has just arrived. This is actually the 31st such cultural symposium to have been held by the Moral Affairs Department of the Armed Forces. Now the presidential motorcade has arrived, and in a few minutes President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi will be addressing the cultural symposium in his capacity as the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. On hand to welcome President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi are senior top brass of the armed forces. This cultural symposium actually carries weight because it's being held at a sensitive and delicate time. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is expected to initiate dialogue Dr. Mustafa al-Fiqi, a senior Egyptian diplomat, will also be among the people, be among the panels, all the people who are going to address this cultural symposium. Dr. Mustafa al-Fiqi, as his capacity as a senior diplomat, has stood witness to an eventful era within the Egyptian history. Actually, this symposium marks the 46th anniversary of the October War. People addressing the symposium will be tackling all having to do with the October War from the military, political and diplomatic viewpoints.
في التصدي للعدو الإسرائيلي فالكل
The Arabs
لا ننسى أيضا الدول
have thrown the weight behind Egypt during the war, with every Arab country lending full support to Egypt in its war against Israel.
من التدعيم والتعضيد لقواتنا المسلحة إضافة إلى الدعم السياسي والعسكري من باقي الدول العربية لمصر. لا ننسى أيضا الإرث التاريخي الذي يجمع بين البلدان العربية وبعضها البعض، وما يجمع بين مصر والجزائر أيضا في هذا الإطار، فمصر التي ساندت الجزائر في هذه
One such country supporting Egypt during the war was Algeria. Algeria supported Egypt. Algeria supported Egypt during the war by helping Egypt buy military tanks from the Soviet Union at the time. Of course, Egypt had earlier supported Algeria in its revolution, in its uprising against the French occupation.
وليس لمصر فقط من مؤامرات تستهدف تمزيق وتقطيع أوصال وطننا العربي.
Of course,
كي يسهل للمستعمر الغاصب أن يستولي
Egypt has always spearheaded all pan-Arab efforts in order to protect the Arab region, in order to safeguard the Arab world against conspiracies being hatched against the Arab world. We see representative, ladies and gentlemen, we see here in the hall representative units of the armed forces. And in a few minutes we'll be listening to His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as he addresses them on the unfolding developments in the region.
للتصدي لما يحاك لنا من مؤامرات، إضافة إلى الدور الذي تلعبه مصر في هذه الفترة كرئيس للاتحاد الإفريقي.
However, Egypt, which has always spearheaded pan-Arab efforts in order to safeguard the Arab world, is these days playing a part which is as equal, which is as important as it has always been. Egypt is now chairing the African Union for the year 2019. As such, Egypt would be has been also spearheading pan-African and pan-Arab efforts as well, has been working, striving to serve the interests of the African as well as Arab nations alike.
الوقيعة فيما بين الشعب المصري وبين قادته لن تفلح ولن تدم هذه المحاولات طويلا، وسوف ينتصر عليها المصريون بل وبالفعل.
However, there have been attempts at driving a wedge between Egyptian leaders, Egyptian political leaders on the one hand and its people on the other. However, such attempts are doomed to fail. Actually, these attempts are part of constant and continued attempts at disseminating rumors in order to drive a wedge between Egypt's political leadership on the one hand and the people on the other.
وهذا الاستخدام السلبي من خلال بث الشائعات المغرضة أو الأخبار الكاذبة.
This is what is called fourth generation war. That's to say, not a real fighting war with two equal parts warring against each other, but one party tries hard to disseminate false stories and false rumors about the other party in order to undermine the domestic front of the other party.
وكما نشهد ونتابع جميعا من خلال الزيارات المتتالية سواء للنواب أو أعضاء مجلس النواب الأمريكي التي كانت في القريب أو حتى
we have recently seen a flurry of diplomatic activities. US Congress delegation has recently been to Egypt, as well as other delegations, representing international institutions. They've all paid tribute to Egypt's economic reforms. Egypt has recently embarked on such economic reforms which were deemed necessary and inevitable in order to offset a current account deficit and in order to alleviate the suffering of its people. They could look like harsh at the beginning, but later on such economic reforms are planned to reshape, put the Egyptian economy in good shape once more. Egypt has always withstood all challenges either in modern history or in ancient history, because the Egyptian people has always been aware of the plots being hatched against them by outside forces. The Egyptian cultural symposiums are planned to raise even more awareness among troops of the armed forces, the police academy, as well as all people of the country about challenges looming high, looming large over the country and its political leadership. Cadets of the military academy as well as cadets of the police academy are seen sitting here. The symposium brings together active service officers from police, active service officers from the army and from the police forces, as well as cadets from the police academy as well as the war academy. Both the army and the police forces are regarded by the people as the two wings which do protect the nation against outside challenges as well as domestic challenges as well.
وفي قدرتنا وقوتنا كمصريين نستطيع أن نتصدى له، ولكن ربما هو نوع من الكيد أو المكايدة نتيجة لأن هذا العدو ربما اشتاط غيظا نظرا لقوة وقدرة وبسالة أبنائنا من القوات المسلحة والشرطة
However, Egypt's constant and continued war against terror has provoked anger on the part of Egypt's foes and enemies outside and inside Egypt. So they have turned mongers for rumors and false news stories about its people and about its political leadership. Our armed forces, determined as they have always been, have vowed, have pledged that they will be steadfastly defending the country. Not only the boundaries, not only the outside boundaries of the nation, but also against any domestic perils together. In doing so, they have been giving continued and much needed support to the local police force of the Ministry of the Interior. The armed forces and police troops as well have been sacrificing their lives for the safety and security of the nation. Here, top brass of the armed forces take front rows of seats. Commanders of the Air Force and the ground forces, all other services and all other corps of the armed forces are seen here, ladies and gentlemen, sitting on the first rows of seats. Everyone has been eagerly awaiting the arrival at the hall of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to mark the beginning, who's going to open this 31st Cultural Symposium.
يستحقون منا كل الاعتزاز وكل الفخار وفي يوم الاحتفال بنصر أكتوبر المجيد وفي الذكرى 46 دعونا نتذكر معا
This President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is being ushered into the hall. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt is being ushered, ladies and gentlemen, into the hall to take his own seat and declare open the cultural symposium. Peace be upon you all. Good morning. Good morning. Many happy returns on this occasion of the October War. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Most Merciful. The spokesman for the armed forces is quoting some verses, quoting some verses of the Holy Quran, in which Allah says, "Be patient with them," in which Allah tells His Prophet Muhammad to be patient with with his foes who have been provoking him to anger, because Allah is all-seeing and all-hearing. Your Excellency, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Armed Forces, in the history of nations and peoples, there are milestone days which have always gone down history as marking legends and epics written down in the history, in the chronicles of the history of this nation. These epics written down by the nation, by individuals of the nation, are written down glowingly in the history of the nation. We come together, every now and then, trying to remember. We have always been remembering the October War of 1973. On October the 6th of the year 1973, the Egyptian army has evidenced to everyone beyond any doubt that the pride that the Egyptian army could restore, could retrieve the pride of the nation hurt by the Israeli aggression. This is the 31st Cultural Symposium is being held by the armed forces to mark the 46th anniversary of the October War under the slogan of October War, representing determination and defiance of the Egyptian people. We are going to start. The best thing to start our symposium with is to listen to some verses of the Holy Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأعدوا لهم ما استطعتم من قوة ومن رباط الخيل ترهبون به عدو الله وعدوكم وآخرين من دونهم لا تعلمونهم الله يعلمهم وما تنفقوا من شيء في سبيل الله يوفى إليكم وأنتم لا تظلمون وإن جنحوا للسلم فاجنح لها وتوكل على الله إنه هو السميع العليم صدق الله العظيم.
لكل جيل
For every generation, every generation has a challenge looming high, and this generation has to steadfastly square up to this generation. And the lessons drawn from history have always shown that we have to defy and square up to all challenges, and the Egyptians have faced these challenges to emerge victorious. This is a new generation. This is a generation attending here.
كل يوم حكايات عن تضحيات بالدم وبطولة عنوانها تحدي المستحيل.
Two children are presenting small, brief play on the victory of the October War. The boy and girl represent the new generation of Egypt who were born after the October War victory.
كانت دايما بتخرج منها اقوى واعظم من كل اللي حواليها، ومن عبور اصعب واقوى خط حصين لعبور جديد حلفنا نعدي وقبلنا التحدي. علشانك يا مصر، علشانك يا مصر. وادي في المنى هيحكي لنا تاريخ مجدنا عن عطاء اللي قبلنا لغايه ما الرايه وصلت لينا، وان شاء الله هنوصلها اللي بعدنا مرفوع زي ما وصلت لنا.
إن حرب أكتوبر المجيدة.
The audience sitting at the hall are watching this documentary film on the October War. The film depicts, portrays some scenes of the October War as the Egyptian army crossed to the other side, to the eastern bank of the Suez Canal.
صباح الخير. اتفضل. كل واحد عنده سؤال يطرح سؤاله وهنتناقش فيه كلنا.
A teacher
يعني ايه
comes
التحدي؟
walks into a classroom and asks his pupils for every one of his pupils to pose his own question, and he as a teacher is going to answer this question. A female student stood up and said, "What do we mean by the word challenge?" And the teacher is answering her.
والشيء العجيب في تاريخ بلادنا مصر إنها على مر الأزمان وهي بتواجه عدائيات وتحديات مصيرية.
The teacher goes on to answer the question by saying that Egypt's history are brimming over with the stories of Egypt facing up to challenges throughout the history, ancient, middle history and present history as well. Egypt has always been at war with aggressors, with occupation forces who have always tried to bring her down, to bring Egypt to its knees, which has never happened because the Egyptian army has always steadfastly fought them back, repelled them and warded them off. The film quotes late President Gamal Abdel Nasser as he, on the heels of the 1967 defeat by Israel, went on television and announced that he is going to step down because he felt liable, he felt responsible for the defeat, which was known as the setback of the 1967. Some scenes, however, people, in reaction to his stepping down address, people took the streets demanding Nasser to remain in power. People, this is the voiceover of his successor, President Sadat, telling the story of the stepping down, of the attempted stepping down by Gamal Abdel Nasser. People took the streets demanding that Nasser should remain in power. Every Egyptian felt that is Nasser not only the political leader of the nation, but his own elder brother or even his father. Gamal Abdel Nasser, after the defeat and after responding positively to the will of the nation to remain in power, started to rebuild the Egyptian army in order to be able to cross the canal and defeat Israel. Here we see scenes, video shots of President Gamal Abdel Nasser visiting the war front. Another student stood up and asked the teacher, "What do we mean, teacher, by attrition war?" And the teacher answers by saying, in an attrition war, you are draining the capabilities, the war capabilities of your foe, of your enemy, until he comes to his knees. Someone, female student this time, asked, what do we mean, what's meant by will?
هو ده اللي حصل
What
في الإعداد لحرب أكتوبر سنة
What is will all about?
الإعداد لحرب أكتوبر تحدي تاني
The will means that we must have prepared ourselves for the war.
والعالم اللي كان متصور
And in order to groom, to prepare our troops for the war,
لأن أسلحة العدو كانت بتتفوق
we had
عن
to
الأسلحة والمعدات.
spare no effort at all. Training and
كل
training.
ده ما هزمش
The
إرادة المصريين.
Israeli army had supremacy, air supremacy over the Egyptian Air Force as well as ground forces.
Follow the policy of my the late president, my dearest friend, President Gamal. But no one will capitulate here in this country. I am not ready to capitulate or to surrender 1 inch or a bit of sand from our land.
President Sadat here is quoted in the footage as saying that no one that is following the path of his predecessor that is not going to relinquish, to give up a grain of Egyptian sand on the Egyptian territory.
ده اليوم اللي الجيش المصري والشعب المصري تكاتفوا مع بعض عشان
The
يحققوا
Egyptian army during the October War
هزيمة ما كانش
banded together, all people banded together.
لحد النهارده.
We have seen here a shot of some ladies going to jewelry shops in order to sell their own jewelry and make the money, the proceeds of the jewelry sale, the proceeds of the jewelry sale, send them to the army to build itself
اقتحم
for
الجيش
the war.
المصري القناة.
Some scenes of the Egyptian army crossing the Suez Canal. The first assault artillery heaping fire on the enemy, and Egyptians carrying heavy guns managed to scale up the Barlev line and storm and break into the highly fortified checkpoints, fortified positions of the Israeli army.
وأصبح العالم في دهشة للي بيحصل في سيناء.
Actually, the October War
اللي بتعيشها إسرائيل.
unfolded much to the amazement, to the astonishment of the entire world, who stood unbelieving. Moshe Dayan, the then chief of staff of the Israeli armed forces, couldn't even make his own statement. Israeli carrying the killed people.
ولم يكن حديثي عنها رجما بالغيب ولا تكهنا. لقد خرجت من صفوف هذه القوات المسلحة.
President Sadat is quoted here in the film as praising the Egyptian armed forces. He's saying that before he decided on waging war against Israel, he had known definitely the true essence of the armed forces, because I belonged to these same forces. I rose within the ranks of the armed forces, the Egyptian armed forces myself. Then President Sadat embarked on his peace initiative in order to make peace with Israel, rather than continuing war in order to save the lives of the Egyptian soldiers.
رغم كل التحديات اللي احنا بنتكلم عليها دي، ورغم شبح الهزيمة والتجربة المريرة
Despite the film is again quoting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi once more by saying that he's saying despite the defeat of the 1967 and despite the bitter feeling we had to taste, to feel, the Egyptian army managed to do it once, and since the Egyptian army managed to do it, that's to say, to defeat Israel, he's capable of doing it every time any aggressor thinks or even flirts with the idea of attacking Egypt. Now, the Egyptian army has been recently waging war not against Israel this time, but against terrorists, against the foes and enemies of life, as the entire Egyptian people joined forces, banded together to fight terror and build the country as well. We must be running here and there, and we must keep building and constructing and reconstructing our nation. And with this, and only with this, Egypt is going to be one of the largest and most developed nations in the world. This is my little pupil, my little student. This is what will is all about. As you ask me, what's will is all about.
مستقبل يسود الأمن والسلام وتحقق فيه مصر بإرادة أبنائها التقدم والرخاء. هي دي الحقيقة وهو ده التحدي.
إن كل التحديات التي واجهناها كان السر في تحقيق الانتصار عليها هو الرهان الصادق على عبقرية هذا الشعب وثراء خلفيته الحضارية والثقافية وتاريخه الممتد بامتداد الحضارة ذاتها ولم يخب رهانه على المصريين يوما.
لما نحب نشكر مين؟
بس كل واحد يحب بلده، يحب وطنه، بيته الكبير. نشكر كل واحد مخلص، كل شهيد وكل مصاب، كل اللي ضحى بحياته عشان البلد دي تكبر تبقى عظيمة.
The sake of the greatness of their country, we thank.
ونشكر العامل اللي بيجد في عمله. ونشكر كل اللي بيبني وبيعمر. تحيا مصر. تحيا مصر. تحيا مصر. تحيا مصر. تحيا مصر. تحيا مصر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كل سنة وانتم طيبين جميعا. لكن الفيلم يعني لفت نظرنا او مش شاور على حاجة مهمة. انتوا شفتوا خلال الشهرين اللي فاتوا الجيش اللي احنا بنتكلم عليه ده كان الهدف كله خلال الشهرين 3 اللي فاتوا ويمكن اكتر هو ازاي نسيء ليه ونشوهه ونقلل من قيمته ونشكك في قدراته. لان زي ما شفنا كده حتى في وقت الهزيمة الكبيرة الشعب المصري لم يفقد ثقته في نفسه، لأن الجيش نفسه، الجيش ده هو أبناء المصريين. فلو فقدت الثقة في أنفسنا يبقى احنا بنفقد الثقة في الجيش
In ourselves we lose confidence in the army and its capabilities. I want to remind you that of a point that the movie didn't clarify very well. After the war, Egyptians used to sacrifice to build the army, and artists would hold ceremonies in Egypt and outside Egypt to collect charity for building the army. And the state said there is no voice louder than the voice of the battle. to return the land once again, and our pride that was very harmed in 76, in 67. We talked about attrition. We have been in Sinai for 6 years in a war with terrorism. Isn't this an attrition of our capabilities, of your capabilities? Isn't this martyr who gets injured is the son of Egypt? When someone wants to slander or harm this person, we have to be very aware of this. We have to take very special care of this. The army didn't ask for charity from Egyptians to build its capabilities, nor did the army said that no voice is louder than the army. However, the army and the state worked towards building the country during the attrition that we are subject to. There is the war in Sinai and building every piece of land in Egypt so that nobody can hamper our movements and the country can move forward. You talk about awareness during the utmost defeat. Egyptians at that time, so to people who lived during that period, were at their utmost pride, and the defeat was harsh and very bitter. However, the awareness of the Egyptians was larger than this defeat. And they told their leader not to leave. They told their leader to continue and that they would support him. They told him to continue at the peak of defeat and not anything else. And we are at the peak of victory now. Thank you very much. There are wars that the military are facing in the battlefields, and there are other battles that the foreign people of Egypt engage in the diplomatic realm. The war and politics are two sides of the same coin. What is not achieved through politics is achieved through war. And then it is continued through negotiations. The diplomats of Egypt have been raised in an institution of a very large history, and they exerted great effort after the war of June 67 and during the attrition war and during the preparation for the liberation battle in October 73. Then in the stage of returning Sinai, our beloved Sinai, about these efforts, some of the valiant soldiers of these institutions, Dr. Mustafa Al-Fiqi, the director of the Alexandria Library. In the name of God, Their Excellency, the President of Egypt, the Chief Commander of the Armed Forces, in days of every year, kind waves remind us of our glorious days, and I would like to assure that every time we read about this period, we are more assured that the defeat of 67 is never a rule in our lives. However, it was an exception that will never be repeated again. When the Egyptian army never engaged in a battle except that he would always emerge victorious. And what's important here is to clarify in front of you that the defeat that they are talking about, after a few days of that defeat, started words like Rasalish and Shudwan and the Battle of Port Tawfiq and the Eilat destroyers. So what defeat is that a people that a strong people cannot overcome. And here we have to admit that the Egyptian army is gathering of its main elements was a matter, an overwhelming and astonishing matter, and we have to. This is all owed to Commander Fawzi and the leadership of Abdel Nasser and everyone who joined them at that time.
فيها كانت كخلية النحل تغلي وتنظر إلى بطولات الجيش وأعماله الجسورة بكل التقدير والاحترام، وترى أن ما يمكن أن تقدمه في هذا الصدد هو أقل القليل الذي تكمل به هذا الجهد العظيم.
Every diplomat stipulated the resolution stipulated that all wars, all territory should be withdrawn. And the resolution provides for the safe borders, that every country should live within safe boundaries. Egypt at the time, Egypt wounded but still steadfastly facing, or still standing on its feet. Egypt was lent diplomatic backing and support from friendly countries, and deliberations have shown that the Israeli delegate were walked out of the deliberations, and after him walked out the delegates of 124 other nations, until the time came when President Sadat came. We have to admit that he was a statesman with an ability to envisage a future in our history. We cannot the only one with such a broad vision before President Sadat may have been Muhammad Ali, the founder of modern Egypt.
كانتا قد اتفقتا على تجميد الموقف في الشرق الأوسط بموافقة كل من بريجنيف ونيكسون.
All nations at the time had agreed before the October War that the situation in the Middle East region should be put on freeze. And then came the Rogers initiative. The US Secretary of State William Rogers made his own initiative, and his initiative went on deaf ears by Egypt and other Arab nations. All superpowers at the time have agreed that the situation should remain on freeze, and Egyptians, as the Egyptians had confidence in their own country, in their own political leadership. President Sadat, his advisor for his national security advisor, who was Major at the time, Major Muhammad Hafiz Ismail, who was a source of pride for both diplomacy and the armed forces as well. He carried advice which looked like more of a threat. And Actually, the president, the political advisor of President Sadat at the time, carried back the advice, telling President Sadat, "You are a defeated, you lead a defeated country, and you have to take the initiatives, Rogers and all other initiatives offered to you, because you are a defeated leader."
إذا لم تكن قادرا على فعل ذلك فسوف نبحث عن حلول مناسبة ومختلفة عما نعرضه عليها الآن.
And if you are not capable of doing so, Mr. President, we are going to search new solutions. President Sadat at the time, who decided on war or peace, President Sadat decided that Egypt should wage war against Israel. It's enough, just enough, to remember, among a few things, that the sinking of the Eilat warship of Israel and the daily crossing made by Egyptian forces to the eastern bank of the side. Egypt couldn't have ever been described as a defeated nation or defeated country, and the great crossing made by the Egyptian forces made this. The October War is a great war, is a glorious war. Maybe the October War hasn't so far been studied thoroughly for its merits. Actually, we need to study the war and to draw out lessons and advantages. Mr. President, the Egyptian war crossed chaos to victory. There's such an Egyptian people, as great as it is capable of political maliciousness, either domestically or abroad, and is capable as such as well, is capable of surmounting all difficulties. The Egyptian people is hard to break, despite conspiracies. And the Egyptian people, above all, has full confidence in its political leadership and feels beyond any doubt that the political leader is pursuing the right path. We are going to emerge victorious over terrorism, and we are going to build modern state, because this is the fortune of Egypt since immemorial times. The generation of the October War. And what about the October War generation? It's the generation which has left us a history which is a source of pride for everyone. It's the October War which has raised smiled again on the faces of Egyptians. They have defeat itself before they have even emerged victorious. Today we have with us one of the top brass commanders who at the time commanded or led one of the five major contingents or divisions of the Egyptian army who crossed the Suez Canal. He is with us now, and he's going to be given the floor now to address us on how being at the command of his division, how he managed to cross from the
أثناء حرب أكتوبر المجيدة ورئيس أركان حرب القوات المسلحة الأسبق السيد الفريق عبد رب النبي حافظ.
We have with us the former commander of the 16th Infantry Division and former Chief of Staff of the Egyptian Army, His Excellency General عبد رب النبي حافظ. He's going to address the gathering. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Most Merciful, Mr. President, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, dear audience, peace be upon you all. It gives me a great pleasure to being here today in front of you to shed more light on certain historic events which have played an important role within of the Arab-Israeli conflict. If I have had the honor of serving on many leading posts on the armed forces, I take much more pride in commanding the 16th Infantry Division. The brave, courageous people, courageous soldiers and officers of the 16th Division Infantry Division have been playing major part even before the October War, during the War of Attrition. When I talk about it, I recall Prophet Muhammad's saying, which we all know, when the Prophet Muhammad described soldiers of Egypt as the best warriors on earth. Our slogan, Mr. President, during the planning was, in a nutshell, slogans, as our slogan, the slogan we raised during the war is victory, triumph. And this all needed purely Egyptian planning and arduous and hard training in all weaponry and all obstacles, in order to surmount any obstacle we might then be going to. And we had to plan how to cross and break into the highly fortified positions all along the eastern bank of Israel, along a length of 95 kilometers, and deeper into Sinai for 20 or 25 kilometers as a war gambit, only as an initiative initiating a war gambit or opening movement in the war. We wage Italia battles. كثيب الخيل were the cenotaph of the martyrs. Particularly the battle known in the media as the Chinese Farm battle. Let me here pay special attention. Pay special attention to the war. When our division had to ward off 3 battalions of tanks, of Israeli military tanks, and I sent a report on the battle to the commander of the army, telling him in one line, my troops cannot be compared to the larger bulk of troops wielded by the Israeli army. However, our brave infantry soldiers had to face up to the heavier military tanks of the army, warding them off although they only fought with light weapons like those carried by infantry people, we managed it. We successfully warded off and repelled and destroyed the Israeli army tanks. We killed one commander of we killed a commander of the Israeli army battalions. Here, it's worthy mentioning that the Israeli General Ariel Sharon, who led that armored battalion, referred in his book on the October War, which he published after the war. He said, Ariel Sharon, that at this battle, that on the October the 17th, we managed it as Israelis. We managed to be to wage war against the Egyptians with all our tanks, but the Egyptian troops managed to destroy 70 or more of our tanks as Israelis. Unquote. I am telling everyone, when there is a will, there's a way. When everyone sports a genuine intention to help his country and to build his country, we are capable of doing it. The Egyptian army has helped delete bitter memories of the mind of all Egyptians. The October War victory will remain in our consciousness. The October War will remain. And help the October War. I'm telling my people as well that our slogan, our motto when commanding my troops is reduced to a wise saying or adage which I have applied. I always tell my troops, with law you can get the duty other people should do to you. You could get this duty done to you, but with love, if your troops love you, you can get the impossible. In conclusion, I have to say that the war, with genuine intention, with genuine determination, the Egyptian army managed to ward off the enemy. It's the Egyptian army who have taken oath not to spare any effort to achieve the score victory, and the Egyptian army's flag will always fluttering high to continue civilization, to continue the drive for civilization and culture you have, which Your Excellency, which you unveiled at youth conferences. I'm quoting President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as he's telling youth conferences, read, do, act, as you have always as Your Excellency, Mr. President, has told President. You have told this, Mr. President, to believe in dreams. If you believe in your dreams will come true. I am telling you, Mr. President, go with the blessing of God. Go, continue going and going at the command of the country. All people and all the armed forces are backing you up and are supporting Your Excellency. His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is conferring a coat of arms as an honor on His Excellency General Abdurrabbi Nabi Hafiz in recognition of his brave deeds during the October War as commander of the 16th Infantry Division. His Excellency General Abdurrabbo talked about the 16th Infantry Division, and we have the commander of the 16th Battalion, His Excellency Field Marshal Hussein Tantawi. Field Marshal Hussein Tantawi is a great man who has always led Egypt in its darkest times. Abdurrabbi Nabi Hafiz was the commander of the 16th Infantry Division, and under him used to be the commander of the 16th Battalion, Field Marshal, then of course a junior officer, Muhammad Hussein Tantawi. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad says, quote, deceiving years will come upon people. During these years, Elijah will be believed. And the one who doesn't know and trivial men will be talking about important issues of the public, unquote. Prophet Muhammad. Yes, we are seeing, though this saying made by Prophet Muhammad was made 14 centuries ago, but this saying of Prophet Muhammad applies correctly to some people who have come out these days, referred to by Prophet Muhammad by the Arabic word al-Ruwaybida, that is to say, trivial people who pretend to be important ones and start to talk about important matters of the public. We are ushered Dr. Ahmed Al-Gindi of the British University in Cairo. He's responsible for a center for culture and a think tank at the British University. He's going to talk to us about how to fight off the war of false news and rumors. We have already seen how our forefathers, how our predecessors have squared up to all challenges in order to preserve intact the territory of this country. But at this century, we are facing a new version of invasion. Sun Tzu, the Chinese famous philosopher, is quoted as saying, the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu is quoted as saying that the greatest war does not require fighting. You can defeat, according to the Chinese philosopher, you can defeat your enemy without having to fight or without having to use a certain or a single weapon or a single weaponry. So now we have seen, as we see today, nations or countries exploiting or turning to good account the internal changes in another country and turn to good account this change, the domestic changes within the country, in order to defeat the country from within by disseminating false knowledge and disseminating rumors. And this is what's referred to as the fourth generation war. This acceleration of war led to the fifth generation war. That's to say, exploiting weak points which are threatening the main pillars of the country. I know that organizers of the symposium of the symposium, please talk slowly. I know that you have allotted you a limited time, but I'm sure they are going to allow you more time because what you are talking about is so important. Now called these fifth generation conflicts or hybrid conflicts. That's to say
والاجتماعية باستخدام تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات. لقد أصبحت تكنولوجيا المعلومات
information technology is now playing an important role, particularly
في أبعاد الأمن القومي. السؤال الذي يطرح نفسه هنا ما ذكره إدوارد.
The increasingly asked question is what Edward said, who is the spiritual father of propaganda and knowledge war. He said we can bring any people under our control. If the psychology has already answered this question, modern technology these days understands us better than we understand ourselves, according to the way technology is made. Simply put, can we leave social communication sites, can we leave them for a week? No, we can't leave our mobiles, we can't leave social work. According to statistics, most people inspect the mobiles every 15 minutes, and as soon as they wake up in the morning, and they are alarmed if they feel disturbed if they don't. A lot of other people get the false feeling that their mobile phones vibrate and they are put in their pockets. However, the phones do not vibrate. It's a false feeling because we have always been accustomed. We have been in the habit of inspecting our phones every now and then. This information which are collected by telephone service providers are being stored and sold to brokers of information. Some believe that they remain safe because they haven't written anything on social sites. But however, by using only emos on a social site without having to write anything, the emos can decide your psychology, and these emos can even haunt you or pursue your path, your itinerary, even if you have shut off your mobile phone. They can, even without activating GPS, these emos and this information can then be stored on by internet providers in order to unravel the mystery of certain crimes. So what you feel is safety is not at all safety. These Have you ever spoken to one of your friends to find that there has been a similar advertisement like the one you have talked to your friend about on the internet? Why? Because social communication sites have been have been making false accounts in order to post hashtags, and another example of using social communication sites to destroy nations is what happened in some countries. Some countries were so self-sufficient, but with the emergence of some Korean, some Syrian countries, there were calls for taking to streets, and some people exploited some of these false calls for demonstrations in order to stir up a state of chaos, destruction, until terrorism has taken over, has prevailed in the country, and the entire country, Syria, has become debris, a land of debris and ruins. Analyzing this information with certain or special tools, most of the writings have been written by people reckoned as being hostile to the government. Technology is a big business. With modern technology, you might spirally increase the number of likes, or a certain post gets on a social communication site, or sharing. What's going to happen if artificial intelligence some researchers, in order experimenting, got a video from the internet with the speaking. Got a video footage of one certain country's political leader, and by using artificial intelligence, put in his tongue a certain statement he has never made, by using modern technology. So, internet and social sites have been widely used. One way of protecting society is to engage society. There have been so many countries that by giving students, for example, engaging the people, by giving students at universities and secondary schools cultural synopsis on how to protect themselves against what I have to say is that internet and information technology is a double-edged weapon. It can be useful if we use it positively. Otherwise, if we're going to use it only for disseminating false information, disseminating false news, it would be the other edge of the weapon that will harm us all.
قالوا أتحبها قلت بجنون.
They told me, do you love her? Do you love her? I said, yes, I love her madly. They asked me, where is she? I said, she is in my heart and within the lids, of my eyes. They asked me once more, who might be, who is she? This is the way every troop, every soldier has to say as soon as he puts on his military uniform. Egypt becomes his own love. We have one of the heroes in his prime of his youth. He has been living in Egypt and has been trained by the Egyptian elite forces, and has been trained in the sense of sacrifice. And one day he was so badly wounded that his both legs have had to be amputated. However, he considers this act of amputation of his both legs as a medal on his chest. We have the leader, we have this fellow from Al-Abbasa village from Sharqiya Governorate. In the name of Allah the Beneficent, I'm a fighter soldier, Ahmed Fawzi. I belong to Abu Hamad, Sharqiya Governorate, from Abu Hamad in Sharqiya province, Sharqiya Governorate. As I was securing the sector of Rafah in northern Sinai, I was badly wounded on the 24th of April in 2015. I was a member of a battalion of elite forces. I have seen how the spirit for defending the country, I've perceived the spirit of fighting for the country. We have been highly trained. I'd gone on several missions of detecting and destroying. I've been also taking part in very perilous and dangerous crackdowns, and every time we went out of the headquarters of our battalion, we were sure that we might not come back alive again. I've had the honor I've had the honor of serving under all sacrificing, all martyred commanders who have been serving in northern Sinai. I've been serving under every one of those people who have sacrificed their life. We were in one operation, we were divided into two fighting groups. One group was led by fighting Colonel Khalid Muhammad Hani. The other one, we went out of our checkpoints, ambushes at 12 midnight. One of us, we engaged in fighting with them, in clashes with them from midnight until 5 a.m. in order to fight back takfiris who would have otherwise fought or killed our people. I've had an explosive device went off as we were fighting those takfiris. I was badly injured at the time. 3 mortar shells landed as I lay on the ground, badly wounded. 2 mortar shells landed as I waited for someone to carry me to rescue. I was carried, I was hospitalized at Rafah. I went out, I was released in Ramadan, and I went to my Abbasa village in Abu Hamad, Sharqiya. To find that my village, took to streets to receive me with music because they were proud of me. It's enough for me to see. I don't care that much about my amputation. It's enough to see the eyes show how they love, and the evidence that I'm well honored by this amputation is that my younger brother, after my wound, decided to volunteer for the army and to volunteer for the commanders, elite forces in particular, and he has always asked it to be transferred to serve in northern Sinai. I'd like to tell every father, every mother that northern Sinai there are lions and there are monsters. The army in Sinai are monsters against Takfiris, and Egypt will remain strong, Mr. President, will remain strong with its people and army. And we have acknowledged how daunting the challenge has been, and long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt.
عنده أغلب الحق اللي واقف على الحدود يحمي الجميع عين وسط راس واقف انتباه ده اللي يضرب له 100 تعظيم سلام ده اللي حب بلده فعل مش كلام ده اللي همه يشوف بلاده كل يوم ماشية خطوة كبيرة فعلا للأمام اللي كل يوم الموت قصاده.
وتفضل السيد رئيس الجمهورية بتكريم الجندي أحمد فوزي حسن.
His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is kindly honoring Private Ahmed Fawzi Hassan. Private Ahmed Fawzi Hassan is being honored, is being with the coat of arms, with the medal, in recognition of his heroic acts as he served in the army in northern Sinai. Dear audience, we have presented to you today two models of former Egyptian Armed Forces troops. The first model represents someone who was on top of the military hierarchy. The other one represents the base of the hierarchy or the triangle. What difference is there? What disparity is there between the top of the hierarchy and the base of the triangle? Actually, to be honest, there's no disparity, no discrepancy or difference between the top hierarchy, the senior brass in the armed forces, and the base ones. Despite all traitors, despite all false insinuations made by traitors to the contrary, despite false insinuations to the contrary, the Egyptian army will remain steadfastly banded together. Didn't Prophet Muhammad say there will be quote, there will be a sedition, there will be a sedition out of which nobody will be rescued, with the exception of the Western soldiers. People sitting with Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad said, who will be the Western soldiers, Prophet Muhammad? He said, it's those people who is in the western part of the land, unquote. the armed forces will remain the only national institutions around which the Egyptian people will keep rallying forever.
مثال سيادتك يا فندم في راحة لمدة 30 دقيقة.
We ask your Excellency's permission for a 30-minute break. A 30-minute break with permission of Your Excellency.